It is now my great pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker, Sophie Renton. Sophie is a social researcher, trends analyst, and team leader of research at the internationally recognised McCrindle. As an experienced researcher, Sophie understands how evidence-based insights can form strategy and help organisations to thrive amongst change. And don't we all need that right now? From her experience in leading research teams at McCrindle, Sophie assists organisations by bringing a clearer picture to complex problems. Sophie is adept in sharing strategic insights that guide CEOs and executive teams in leading their organisations. We encourage you to offer up some questions, and Sophie will answer these at the end of the presentation. It is our pleasure to welcome Sophie here today and to hear her presentation titled Where to Next? The Trends Impacting Business Events. Thank you, Sophie. Over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for that introduction. My name is Sophie Renton and I am the Research Director at McCrindle, and it's my absolute pleasure to be with you this morning to give you some of the insights on what are the trends that are impacting future events as we look to 2021. At the end of the year, it's always a great opportunity to pause and reflect and think about the year that's been. And what a wild ride 2020 has been. From the beginning of the year till now, we have gone through a number of different seasons, challenges, and opportunities. And as we reflect on the end of the year, it's actually quite interesting that Oxford Languages often, they release one word for the year. In the past, this has been things like fake news, post-truth, even selfie, whereas their release for 2020, I think, sums up our year quite well. Too much has happened for just one word, so they have created us a series of words to try and capture everything that has occurred in the year 2020. For January, their word is bushfire and impeachment. Can you believe that was actually happening this year? March was when coronavirus first showed up. April was COVID-19 and lockdown. June was Black Lives Matter. July was cancel culture. And September was Moonshot, which was the name of the UK government mass testing program for COVID. Went through that very quickly, but each of those words sum up a significant cultural event that has occurred in 2020. It has been a year of challenges, but also a year of opportunities. And as I reflect on this year, I don't know another industry that may or may not have been hit harder in this year than the business events. So what has actually happened in business events in 2020? Everyone I am speaking to this morning, you have experienced this firsthand. And I want to start off by just saying congratulations. You are still here at the end of the year. It's been tough, but you are looking ahead and you're taking those opportunities to go where to next for 2021. How do we set up our organizations to thrive into the future? So at the start of this year, we did do some research with Becca, and we looked at what the impact of COVID has been on business events. And at April, 96% of business events scheduled for 2020 were either cancelled or postponed. It was a huge shutdown of the industry, and that equated to about 1.1 million event days in 2020, with a loss in directed expenditure of about $29 to $36 billion. Now, I know you know that because you have experienced that firsthand. And that was the state of this industry at the start of the year. However, we've survived through 2020 and we're looking ahead to 2021. So where to next for business events in Australia? How do we position our organisations to not just survive through this year, but actually to innovate and thrive and to lead that change as we move forward? Actually, at our organisation, we've just released a report on some of these insights, which is the future of events, which I'll have a link for you that you'll be able to download that at the end so you can really unpack that report. But within this report, we had 8 key trends around where we see the future events going and what things we need to consider as event organisers to not just position ourselves to survive, but to thrive as we go ahead. Today, however, we've only got a short time together, so I'm just going to unpack 3 of those key trends. But the 8 trends that we explored in this report are the integration of the virtual and the physical. the power of human connection, professional speakers, demographic shifts and diversity, generational change, augmented reality for augmented events, sustainability, and health and well-being. So as we jump in today, the first one that we're going to explore is that integration of virtual and physical. Now, that might seem obvious that we say that that is a trend that is set to continue, considering all of our events have literally gone online this year, as is case in point, like what we're doing right now. However, as we look to the future, what do we think this is going to look like? Are we going to revert back to live events alone, or are they going to stay as virtual events alone? We believe the future of events is hybrid, and it is the integration of the virtual and the physical. The virtual events have many benefits in that they allow us to broaden our reach to audiences that might not have been able to engage with our events before. It goes beyond geographies and time zones. It does, however, have some challenges with the virtual, particularly around the Zoom fatigue. We've all experienced that throughout this year, that sometimes it can be challenging looking at a screen for hours on end. The human connections that are so real and so important, there are some challenges of how do we create the networking experience, which is a crucial reason why people come and attend these events. So how do we curate and create spaces for that as we go into the future? And that's where we really believe that it is about the integration of the virtual and the physical, and that it is hybrid as we look ahead. And the organisations that can figure out how to do that well now will set themselves up really well to thrive into the future. So what does that mean for us as event organisers? We need to integrate both the online and the in situ experience to further the audience reach and to enhance engagement. There is some really interesting opportunities, however, that appear with the virtual and the in situ. And one of those, with our borders being closed and the challenge of not being able to go international, so we actually have an opportunity to explore our local and our regional destination events to invest back into the economy of the local area. And I don't know about you, but Australians that in my world are loving the opportunity to explore their own backyard again. There is a great desire to experience camping and the outdoors, and a rediscovery of what makes Australia so beautiful and so incredible. And people have really embraced the simplicity of life this year. As many things have been stripped away, it's been a heightening on what's really important. And people are enjoying the time and connection with each other in the outdoor experience within Australia. So this is an opportunity for event organisers to explore what are those local spots that can create a great environment for people to come along to experience the power of human connection and to have that face-to-face event as well as the virtual event. And that really is the last point for us to consider as we look towards the virtual and the physical, is that we really need to create a differentiation between these two. There is an ease that comes with the virtual, but what do we need to offer to draw people in to come to that face-to-face connection? It needs to be a unique draw card, an experience that is only available in situ to help people come to the destination events. And we do really believe in the destination events, because the very next trend that I want to explore is actually the power of human connection. In a time when we have been social distance and we have had our connections from each other almost removed, it's actually heightened our desire to have that face-to-face connection with each other. Whilst the virtual provides the efficiency and the scale and the broad reach, at the essence of humanity, we are relational beings and we value face-to-face connection, and events play a crucial part in curating spaces that allow people to network, learn, and connect with each other. And it's going to be even more crucial as we look ahead. How do we create these opportunities for human connection within our events? As it's been stripped away, people are looking for it even more. So it's about creating events that don't just have a program, but they actually keep people at the very center. And it's looking for opportunities to create places and platforms that people can connect. So what does that mean for us? Consider how the event helps to facilitate human interaction and networking, and that's particularly done in the face-to-face as well as the virtual realm. Create a program that has a healthy rhythm for learning, connection, and enjoyment. With our events, it is actually people that are attending them, not just programs. And we need to think about the rhythms of the day and the rhythms of the experience to allow people that time to breathe, to curate an event that empowers human flourishing and fills people's tanks rather than drains their tanks. Get them excited about new content and get them excited about new relationships and opportunities within the business world. The third trend to explore this morning is actually a hybrid of two of the trends around the demographic shifts and our generational change. And that's really exploring our changing audiences. We know that the population of Australia is growing. Today, our population sits at 25.7 million, yet by the year 2030, Australia will sit at a population of 30 million people, which means as a nation, we're currently growing at a rate of one new person every 83 seconds. Now, 38% of this growth comes from natural increase, while 62% comes from net overseas migration. COVID has seen a bit of a pause to that this year, but it is expected that those rates will resume within the next few years. And what that migration pattern shows us is that actually Australia has twice as many born overseas as the UK or the US, making us one of the most multicultural developed nations on the planet. Now, I say this because our events, as I said, are for people. And the cultural and the generational mix of Australia is shifting. And to lead change in events in the future, we need to be creating experiences that don't just reach the audiences that we've had in the past, but to reach the audiences that we have now and those that are going into the future. And events like life are best when they reflect the gender, ethnic, and generational diversity of the world around them. So as you're organising your event, think about your speakers, think about your programs and going, does this engage and connect with our changing audience? The generational diversity is actually a crucial mix as well. If we look at our workforce today, we currently have about 48% of our workforce is in Gen Z and Gen Y, which are our youngest Australians. However, by 2030, that jumps up to about 2/3 of our workforce that is in this younger age demographic. And this event attendee, they have different expectations around their events. And we'll jump into those in just a second. But what this means for our event planners is that we need to ensure that the event considers the cultural, gender, and generational diversity of the population that the event is going on for. And particularly with our younger generations, we need to communicate visually and effectively for this emerging generation. And these younger event attendees are those that are actually more inclined to attend the live events. They love the experience of connecting with people. And we need to create opportunities for attendees to forge these meaningful connections, particularly at these in-person events. And then the last one, just to go through very quickly with you this morning, is sustainability. Sustainability is more than just a buzzword. It is fast becoming a framework and a lifestyle within which people live by. And the younger generation are leading this cause and leading this drive. There was a study that showed that 55% of millennials have taken steps to reduce their own use of single-use plastics. They are increasing their purchase of organic or locally produced food. And 41% have stopped or reduced the regularity in which they purchase fast fashion. Now you're going, where about events? Why do I care about sustainability and younger people's preference for this? I believe that actually comes through quite powerfully in this quote from Emma Watson, which sums up the mindset of this generation. It says, as consumers, we have so much power to change the world by just being careful what we buy. This generation are looking at the products they purchase, but also the experiences that they engage with, that they align with their values. They are asking themselves, how do I use my income and my finances to make a better world? And that does flow into the events. They will partner and they will support and they will engage with events that they believe in. So what does this mean for event organisers? It means looking at choosing sustainable venues. It looks at being mindful of waste and keeping in mind that less is often more. How can we communicate the program digitally? I know that's been something that we've been talking for a while, but how do we show and highlight that we are working in a sustainable way? And then align with organisations who have a strong corporate social responsibility and value proposition. And I'll just leave you with this quote just for today. It says, great leaders are focused not on the next program, but on the next generation. To position yourself to thrive into the future as an event organiser, it is about thinking, how do we engage the event attendee of the future? And what does that look like? And so I encourage you, you are doing a phenomenal job. 2021 is an exciting time. The borders are reopening, the consumer confidence is growing, and people are looking for opportunities to engage in real live experiences that foster human connection again. So however you can create a program that has people at the centre that drives human connection, I encourage you to do that. So if you wanted any more info on the future of events and you wanted to grab that report, you can take a picture of the QR code or you can download it at McCrindleSpeakers.com. Thank you so much for having me with you this morning. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Sophie. That was brilliant. Very thought-provoking. We do have a couple of comments and questions that are coming off the floor. And I have to say, I particularly love the bit in the presentation when you are talking about regional stays. I think there is certainly a growing confidence for people to get out, particularly into regional New South Wales. And I think we do that sometimes just with our leisure and family stays. So the fact that you have invited people to consider that for business events is fantastic. So just talking about the generational change, is there anyone in the market at the moment that's doing that really, really well, that has already come across that observation, if you like, and has put those processes in place that you might be able to share with us?
Well, I think it's good to look at what other people are doing, but I think it's also good to do your own research and to really explore and understand the key trends about the generations and what they are looking for, what are their needs in their life. And I think considering the trends around sustainability is really important, but also around the content that we're talking about. It's about creating content that people are educated with, and it's also creating content that inspires people. And the next generation are really, I guess, key on engaging in a way that maybe breaks them out of their own box a little bit more and having that open discourse. So events and organisers that can create spaces for those conversations, I would say, would be doing it really well.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Well, that's all we've got time for as far as the questions go. Thank you again for your participation today. We really appreciate your comments, Sophie. And I'll just remind everyone that's online at the moment, that formally ends our formal section of the program. We now move into our virtual appointments, and our exhibition floor is now open. So I would encourage you to go and mingle with people and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.